Welcome back, guys, for the next leg of our flight back down to Christchurch after a successful flight up to Tauranga and doing that NDB arrival, which was good fun. We'll do something a bit more simple. We'll do the good old-fashioned ILS approach into Christchurch. We'll probably... There is a specialised cargo ramp just over here, but we'll park up where they used to traditionally park up the cargo flights in one of these stands over here, and yeah, we're pretty much ready to go. I just did a few little bits and pieces before I started the camera, and we'll add in this DMB so we can get our direction from Tauranga, so we'll add that in. So once again we'll be using the good old-fashioned flying with the using the old original navigation, using the bit of, we probably won't use the NDB for this bit because Rotorua is quite close, but we'll track Rotorua's VOR, and then from Rotorua we will go straight to Blenheim Woodburn, and then from there we'll just do a direct run down to Christchurch. What we might actually do is, because that's, oh no, we'll keep it like that. We'll do this nice long. We'll probably lose the VOR as we're coming along here, but yeah, we'll keep it with that. I'll just do a few more bits and pieces, and we're going to be cruising at 30,000 feet for this flight. So we'll go ahead and set that cruise altitude, and then we'll be on our way. Right, I think we're pretty much ready to start our flight. We will close up the aircraft, close up these doors, and get on our way. Looks like your typical busy overnight situation in Tauranga. You got your overnight aircraft here, or your New Zealand flights ready, aircraft ready for their early morning departure. Right, we are basically ready to start our engines, I feel. Alright, let's do the arduous, I'll just set this takeoff thing quickly, flaps 24 for our takeoff. That's all set, turn that off and fasten seatbelts, the emergency exit lights, and turn on the beacon, and Make sure this pump is off that I used to open up the door previously. What else do we need to do? Yeah, that's right, turn off the packs. Select engine number 4 and let's start this fun process of turning on all 4 engines. Oh, turn on all the fuel pumps while we're at it. So we're going to set our one up to 146 for our tracking, and then we'll have this one preset for our outbound from Rotorua, so 46 and 87. We're going to take off from runway, just check the weather again and confirm it is yeah, we'll use runway 25 for our departure. Which is flying out towards Auckland, and then we'll turn around and track back and try and... What we might do actually is, because it is night time and it's flying over quite a busy city, we'll fly out and around and track back in, so we'll depart out over sea, and we will enter our NDB, so we'll just track our NDB, we won't worry about the DME. So that needle yep, that's working. Now our final engine, it's actually good to do, sort of set it up so you have things to do while these engines are turning over, makes it a bit more efficient in a way. We'll set out cabin altitude, which is going to be, well, the maximum it will go. Won't go any more than that, so that's perfect. Like I said, we've got this to give us the exact runway heading, but in real life I'm guessing you'll just set it thereabouts to the number you want. In this case it's 25. And that's all the engines all powered up, so we can set that to off, set that to off, get the APU flying into the cabin, set these all. I forgot to turn on anti-ice, but we actually don't need it, it's quite a warm. Turn on the ice detection, but it's quite a warm day out there in Tauranga. Turn on our pumps. What else do we need to do? And we turn on all of our various different heatings. And we are basically all set to go. The indicated airspeed, because we want to have that for our climb, and we will release the chocks, set our flaps, and turn on our taxi lights, and we'll start our departure. Although Ansett never operated out of Tauranga, these aircraft would have been perfect for this little airport, especially now that Tauranga is one of the used to be just a little sleeping seaside retirement village, Tauranga, or the Mount is where this airport is based. But now it's like one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and it's, as a result, the airport is it's quite a busy wee airport. Not only do they get a lot of New Zealand flights throughout the day, they also get, it's also like a flying school there, so they get a lot of flying school and just general aviation activity at this airport. It's a very bustling, busy little airport, this one. We can turn on our strobe lights now that we're entering the runway. One thing we will do is we will push this little magic button here, set our correct trims, which is great. So flaps 24, as we can see on the little indicator here. We can turn on our TMS, just make sure it's all set. Then we can release this little warning button. As we know, I love the beeps and the buzzes it makes, hence why it's always turned off until I need it the most. Well, not really need it, but it is handy if something does go wrong. It can warn you about your impending doom. We'll just turn on our landing lights, so we'll just get this all basically set, really. And it's just the slow little taxi out to the end of runway 25. What we will do is we'll just make sure our takeoff config's correct, which there's no warning buzz there, so that's perfect. If you're doing the passenger version, these don't really, I'm sure Just Flights sort of disabled these for the cargo aircraft, but if you're flying the passenger aircraft, you need to make sure you click these things, because definitely back in the past it would upset the first officer's announcement algorithms, and you would end up missing out on, even today it's usually pretty good, but it's still hit and miss. Oh. Luckily it can turn on a dime there, sort of misjudged that a bit. I was busy playing around with autopilot. And that's why we love flying this. This is why this aircraft is such a versatile aircraft back in the day, because it's got good short takeoff performance, and it's also very nimble on these slightly narrower runways. And I think we're pretty much good to go. We'll do the classic, set our throttle to 500 to activate that TMS set.
TMS sets takeoff.
And then just slowly advance it all the way up to full power. Well, to those
Power set, flex achieved.
yellow markers, and away we go.
Speed alive, both sides. 80 knots cross-checked. V1. Rotate. V2.
If this was the daytime, we'll have to do a daytime flight here, but we'll be departing out over the main harbour there, the main port, for one of the largest ports in the country out over here. But yeah, we'll have to do this on a sunny day. But what we will do now is we'll start out tracking out over the ocean here, start our climb over the bay, try and minimise the noise for these sleeping residents. And then we just lower the nose and get this plane speeding up so we can raise the flaps.
VFTO, safe height speed, select flaps up.
And now we can arm the autopilot. Now we can start set this to sync. We can now turn on all of the APU, the engine air bleeds, turn off the APU, then we can go ahead and turn off the PTU and the AC pump, and that's pretty much our, once we're well and truly on our climb, we can turn off the APU, and that's pretty much our takeoff configuration, all done and dusted. We're now well and truly over the sea, and we're at a nice decent altitude. We can now start tracking towards Rotorua's VOR and get it nice and tidy for our cruise. Sometimes there's a little, you have to turn this off and on again. It can be a bit touchy sometimes, so as we can see we're losing airspeed a bit, so we'll right, we can turn off our landing lights, turn off our runway extension lights, release the release, it's just us today, release the 2 pilots, and we can basically, once this gets to thereabouts, we can, as I was mentioning the last flight, if you turn it too soon, it's quite rough with the tracking the VOR, but you want to try and get that needle as close as the middle as possible, just if you're wanting the nice smooth autopilot handling. And there we go, nice and smooth. Now we can sync the autopilot, just raise the nose down a bit, and we're going to get the speed up to our climb altitude, which is going to be about 240, 250 knots. That's probably close enough. Re-engage the autopilot and we are all set. Yeah, we'll have to do this in the daytime next time. This is all like harbour and nice little bays and estuaries and whatnot. It's quite a cool little place, Tauranga. Do something we always forget to do is set our standard pressure. And we are basically that's everything. Oh, we can turn off our APU now. Just do one more check. Everything's looking pretty good. Yep, we are on our way. And we'll do that trick again to balance out our fuel. We've got a slight imbalance there, so we will open the cross feed and open these pumps, and then we will turn off the fuel flow for the from the fuel tank. We don't want to drain off, and we will try and get this matching that, which is rapidly doing right now, which is great. We do want to keep an eye on it. Basically open up, turn these pumps back on again, select these to shut and norm, and turn off the cross feed. And that's our fuel tanks, basically all nice and level and balanced. Like I said last time, in real life you'll be going off these fuel gauges, which at the best of times, like, you definitely won't be able to get it right down to the milliliter, but I guess when you do flights over and over again and you're doing lots of sectors, that balance would start adding up. Right, we will set our heading bug to get it ready for when we start our outward bound tracking. Slowly coming up to Rotorua Airport. And the closer we get, the more sensitive we'll probably lose that VOR very shortly. We'll just use the heading bug just to make it nice and smooth and not so jarring and rough like how the autopilot can be. Just fine-tuning the heading until that bar comes in quite nice and flush, and we can go back into localizer, or VOR mode I call it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed it up a bit, get it set, get that cruising altitude set, and then we'll fiddle around with the TMS to get that very rudimentary autopilot function working, and then we will probably speed up the video until the next key moment of this flight, which will be the descent into Christchurch. That said, I'll set this to the Woodburn VOR, so when we pick it up we can transfer over, but like I say, we'll be losing reception well beyond Rotor's VOR well before we get to that, so we'll just set that. And yeah, that's everything done for this flight so far. We might grab the little header torch and go out and make ourselves a cup of tea. And let's attempt to get this. We've set roughly our sort of cruise speed we want to cruise at, which is Mach 0.6869. And we'll throttle this all the way back till it's just maintaining the airspeed. That's almost there. I think we'll stick with that. We'll set it at 7:15, I reckon. So we'll set this to TGT, set that to sync, master 2. Oh, I should have done that first. And that will hopefully set the speed thereabouts. Maybe drop it down just a fraction and a little bit. And I think that is pretty good actually. I'll probably slowly, we'll try 705. Might try 690 then. Can basically set this to the Woodburn VOR now that we've and go into heading mode. Now that we're lost contact with Rotorua, and then we'll set this up for preset this to the Christchurch VOR. And then we'll set this up to the ILS. We're basically flying straight in, so we don't need to do VOR DME arc. We can just fly straight in there and we will get the ILS set. That's basically the speed sort of holding thereabouts. We might drop it down just to slowly bring that speed back a bit. We'll set this to the ILS, get it all preset, but what we will do is we'll set this just for a reminder that we're going to go 183 degrees for our next heading. That's our speed pretty much set there actually. 87 seems to be the magic number there, 687. And we are now armed on the Woodburn VOR, which is perfect. Can now use our heading bug to get it nice and smooth and get that tracking. I get that bar all nicely lined up, then we can start tracking it. And then we can set this up for our what do you reckon, guys? Should we just fly straight in, or should we do a trying to decide if I can be bothered doing another DME arc, or do we just fly straight in? What do you reckon, folks? If you guys were Dora the Explorer, and I'm asking you, well, if I was Dora the Explorer, would you guys say yes to a DME arc, or just straight in, straight up the guts? We'll just stick with that one, eh? And we can set this actually, because we are doing an ILS approach, so we can set it to 200. And we might as well preset this thing for our final approach fix, which is going to be 2,000 feet. And what we will do is we'll just set this to our Christchurch and we can look at starting our descent very soon. I think we're pretty much ready to just start our descent into Christchurch, which will arm the altitude. We'll select vertical speed and then we'll sync the autopilot, and then we'll just lower our nose gently down to start off with there, arm the autopilot, and then click on descent and just throttle it all the way back. And then we can set our cabin pressure. And we can turn on our PTU. We might as well turn these all on, just like I said to you in the other videos, because it's just us. It's good to have these all on because it is a high workload, and also to I've come across different posts online that pilots back in the day would have these all on anyway, just to take away some of the like I'd say, take away some of the tasks and whatnot. And what we can do is we basically just set this up for our ILS as well, because that's basically bang on the ILS anyway. And we'll set our landing speeds, just get that all set and ready by pushing this little button here. Actually, because it is Christchurch, we can use flaps 30 for our landing. It's a nice long runway. There is ice detected, so we'll turn on our anti-ice. And we'll preset our ILS frequency into our might just increase our rate of descent just a bit more. Basically coming up to trans altitude, so we can push the magic B button and set our... And our ILS is now alive, so we can basically go ahead and switch over to our... Is it alive? Yeah, it is. We can basically go ahead and go into our ILS frequency. Might just increase the rate of descent a bit more. Put out some speed brakes, turn our landing lights on, and our runway, turn on continuous ignition. And we can turn on our APU air and turn off these engine air. Turn off our anti-ice, we don't need that anymore.
Localizer captured.
Sink rate.
We can arm the glide slope
Glide
now.
slope armed. Glide slope captured.
2500.
Established on the ILS.
We sort of just did it there. But we're all active on our glide slope now, which is perfect, and our go around altitude is 4,000 feet, so we'll set 4,000 feet.
Speed checked below 205. Select flaps 18. Speed checked below 180. Select flaps 24. Speed checked below 170. Select flaps 30.
And that is us on a, onto final approach. Breaking through the bit of fog or clouds, whatever there is at the moment. We can turn off the Weber radar, we don't need that anymore. Disengage the autopilot.
Disconnected.
Plus 100. Minimums. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Ground idle. Yellow and green spoilers. Brake pressure seen. Eighty. $60 knots.
And that's us landed at Christchurch. We'll taxi and then we will set up for our second to last night run flight, which will be from Napier, from Christchurch to Napier, then Napier, just a repositioning flight back up to Auckland, ready for the what would you call it, the commute, the daytime commute. Right, we can turn off this warning light, turn off all of these, and then just taxi to our parking stand, and then that's us. We'll turn off this as well, shall we? And then we'll get back to day flying, because night flying there's not a lot going on outside. Turn our strobe lights back on again because we're going to cross this cross runway. Not that they ever use it that much, but I might use our landing lights because it's quite bright out here. But yeah, we'll go park up in what would have been the original freight parking bay out here. I think they still use these anyway for the larger aircraft. That brand new freight distributions facility here is only used for the 737s at the moment. But we'll come up here and we'll park in this one here, park in number 8, eh? Done. We can now set our parking brakes, and we can now turn on these lights so it's nice and bright in here, and we can basically shut down all of these engines. We'll quickly open up the doors, set the chocks. And turn off this ice detection button and select PAX 1. Turn off our strobes, and that is us ready for the next flight. Thank you so much for being a part of that flight, and we will see you on our second to last leg, which will be up to Napier, then back home to Auckland, ready for this plane to be put back into daytime commuter service.